Hello everybody, welcome to my review of the best racetrack on the calendar, which is more than a race. Or as I like to say, more than a race. Yes, it's the British Grand Prix, the first British Grand Prix since Charles III has been crowned King of England. There's been almost 500,000 people who attended, and there's been a very popular bloke in the van zone who people describe as a young Max Verstappen, who's also been getting a lot of selfies from a quarter of the people who had Silverstone. I wonder who that could be. But anyway, let's get on with the review. Silverstone is not just the home of Formula 1, it's also the home of 3 F1 teams, Williams, Aston Martin and McLaren, who all three have some very special liveries. McLaren with their new silver livery, just like they had back in the old days in the 2010s. Williams, they have the special Union Jack on their car to celebrate their 800th Grand Prix, and it was their 799th. As for Aston Martin, not much on them, just a bit of red on the top and well, that's it. And those are the liveries, and now let's get on to qualifying. And in qualifying, it was Max Verstappen who's got pole position at Silverstone. And where was his teammate? Well, his teammate qualified P16. What happened there? I have no idea. Sergio Perez for the 5th time has failed to get into Q3, and there's been a lot of bad luck, and I don't think the Red Bull team are going to be happy for that one. But the best bit of qualifying is seeing Lando Norris, the homeboy of Silverstone, in P2 on the front row at Silverstone, and McLaren, they were cheering like crazy. Not just for Lando Norris in P2, but in P3, Oscar Piastri. Wow, McLaren have really done a great job. This is the best performance I've seen in McLaren in a very long time. Not since they did have that silver livery when they had Jenson Button and Lewis Hamilton. And seeing Norris and Piastri in the top 3 brings back such great memories. Well done to the both of you. And Lando Norris, he did an incredible start. He managed to overtake Max Verstappen on the grid, and the crowd was cheering like crazy. Even I was, when I was at Silverstone, I was at Village Enclosure, and I saw, well, only some of it, but Oscar Piastri, he was so close of overtaking Max Verstappen, but Max Verstappen was able to hold on to 2nd. Lewis Hamilton, he did go off track, he did lose a few places, but what a start. And what is amazing, it's the first start in a while at the British Grand Prix since there's been no red flags, and that is what I love to see. The race still going, nothing bad happening, and great driving for all the drivers out there. But the lead for Norris did not last long, because Max Verstappen, as he had the quicker car, he was able to overtake him at lap 9, and well, at least that was something for Norris to be happy about, just leading the Grand Prix for a few laps. But the McLaren, still no match for that mighty Red Bull, or even for Max Verstappen. And when the race restarted, Lando Norris, he was pitted on the hard tyre, and Lewis Hamilton was pitted on the softs. And Oscar Piastri, who sadly lost P3 to Lewis Hamilton, it's a shame. He was so close of keeping that podium, but these things do happen in motor racing. But at least he is still in the top 4. And well, let's get back to Norris and Hamilton. Hamilton, he was charging for P2, but Norris doing so well, keeping him behind in those much harder compounds. He was able to keep P2, and the more longer he kept Hamilton behind, the more Hamilton's tyres were starting to wear off. And when later on the race, Norris, he looked like he had the better tyres, and Hamilton, well, his tyres looked really tired, and it gave Norris the good opportunity to keep P2. Over the years at Silverstone, there's been many retirements over the Grand Prix, but on this Silverstone Grand Prix, there's only been 3 retirements. The first one was Esteban Ocon. He retired very early in the race, and he did the exact same thing last year when his car retired when he was only halfway and it brought out the safety car, but not this Grand Prix, because this time he boxed into the pits and retired the car. And unlike Kevin Magnussen, because he had engine trouble and his engine caught fire, and I was there when it happened, and it brought out the safety car, but I think it would have brought out the virtual if he parked his car more off the track and more closer to the barrier. It would have been a lot safer, but some reason he didn't do it. But at least the marshals were able to get the fire out, and at least Magnussen is okay. And that happened on lap 32. The third retirement happened on lap 46 with Pierre Gasly, the other Alpine. So there's been both Alpines out at the Silverstone Grand Prix. Not their day, was it? And for Pierre Gasly, he had contact on Lance Stroll, and Lance Stroll, he could have given Gasly a bit more room, and as a result, he got a 5-second penalty at the end. So at least that's justice for Pierre Gasly, and it's such a shame, and that really did hurt them and gave McLaren a big opportunity to beat them in the Constructors' Championship. And on lap 44, Sergio Perez had an opportunity of overtaking Carlos Sainz for P7, which he did. And it was at Club Corner, which was the same place as Lewis Hamilton did on him and Charles Leclerc last year. And it wasn't just him who overtook Carlos Sainz. Alex Albon did the exact same thing on the Hamilton straight in a Williams. What a way to celebrate their 799th Grand Prix, eh? And what made it worse for Carlos Sainz is 2 corners later, his teammate did the exact same thing of overtaking him. Sainz did push him a bit off the track, but Carlos Sainz, well, it didn't do enough to keep P9. Instead, Charles Leclerc was able to overtake him for P9, and Sainz, who has to settle for P10. And it was Max Verstappen who won the British Grand Prix and Red Bull's 11th win in a row. And the only person who celebrated Max Verstappen's win at the British Grand Prix was this guy.
Yes! Go Max! Woo!
And it was well done to Norris and Hamilton. Norris P2 and Lewis Hamilton, who finished in P3 at their home Grand Prix. What a good way to celebrate 2 British drivers on the podium at the British Grand Prix. And the rest of the results are Oscar Piastri in P4. That is an incredible result from him. Not just his best finish of the season, but also McLaren's best teamwork of the season at the same time. They have scored 30 points. That is more points they've ever scored through the rest of their season. That is one hell of a leap. This puts them ahead of Alpine in the Constructors' Championship. George Russell in P5. Sergio Perez, a great comeback in P6. Fernando Alonso in 7th. Alex Albon, what a result for Williams, P8. And the Ferraris in P9 and 10th. And if I was going to vote for Driver of the Day, I would vote for Oscar Piastri, because this has been his first time in the top 4, and I know lots of people who have voted for Lando Norris as Driver of the Day because he was P2, but Oscar Piastri, I think P4 feels more amazing to me because it's been such a hard year, especially for him as a rookie, and I think that's a well-deserved result, and he should have got a podium, but the safety car, that changed the whole thing. It gave Lewis Hamilton the opportunity to overtake him and let him get another podium, but for Oscar Piastri, I still believed he still could have got that podium, but well done to him, and well done to McLaren. And if there were Team of the Day, I think it will go definitely to McLaren, because they've done so well in qualifying in the race. They qualified P2 and 3, and they finished P2 and 4 in the race itself, and they have done such a great comeback from what they've had, which was a hard season. They've been struggling through so many Grand Prix, and they're finally getting back on their feet, and I do believe McLaren are definitely back in the fight for 5th in the Constructors' Championship. And that's it for my review of the British Grand Prix and what will happen next year at Silverstone. Will we see Lando Norris getting pole position or winning the Grand Prix? Will we soon see Oscar Piastri finally getting the podium he deserves? And how many selfies is that young Max Verstappen going to get next year? Well, just have to wait and see. See you next time. And don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my other accounts down below.